accomplish dreams, to live securely, to help others. Not by force of government, but by goodness of heart. Where rights are not granted by government or claimed by identities, but are unalienable.
What's going on, guys? Waiting on some friends, so... But I have the convention on in the background. Just hang out. Let's get the audience up a bit.
Defunding law enforcement as lawlessness abounds.
Waiting on Nick Leonard,
telling you what to wear,
Eric
and when you can
Young,
limiting free
and
speech,
Bessarian. A few other people coming in.
Old ideas of socialism
Pop over
and
check.
redefined words. Let us restore the values that made America great.
We will make America strong again.
Return to the higher standard.
We will make America proud again.
A land of freedom of speech, of worship.
We will make America safe again.
A land of security and prosperity.
And we will make America great again.
A land of greatness.
From Washington, D.C., welcome to the 2020 Republican National Convention. Tonight, celebrating America as the land of greatness.
I love the RNC. So great.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, which art in heaven, we thank you for the great bounty you have bestowed on this nation and the many blessings we have received these past 4 years. We are forever grateful. As we come tonight, our country is facing trouble. Tens of thousands are in the path of a deadly storm. The pandemic has gripped millions of hearts with fear. We're divided. We have witnessed injustice. Anger and despair have flowed into the streets. We need your help. We need to hear your voice at this crucial hour. We ask that you would unite our hearts to be one nation under God, for you are our only hope. We declare today our total dependence upon you and our need of repentance as a people. I thank you tonight for our President, Donald J. Trump. We pray that you would give him wisdom from on high, clarity of vision, and strength as he leads this nation forward. Bless him. We pray for our First Lady, Melania, their son, Barron, and all of the family. Protect them and keep them strong and safe. We thank you for Vice President Mike Pence, for his steady hand and clear voice. We pray for Second Lady Karen Pence and their family. Father, we know that you can make this nation great once again if we turn our eyes and our hearts to you and follow your word in obedience. May your will be done on this earth as it is in heaven. And we pray this in the mighty name of your Son, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As Americans, we carve our own destiny. As Americans, we look forward, not backward.
Hey, if anybody's
Our
listening,
ancestors braved the unknown.
watching on any of the
They built
platforms,
this
just
nation
comment.
brick
Let me know if you
by
can hear me when I
They
talk.
lifted up millions
I know.
from poverty, hunger, and disease. They
I always
vanquished
have audio
fascism and
issues, but
communism. A great
anyways,
nation
super
because of great
chats
people.
tonight
And no one has done
are
more to protect and
benefiting
advance it than President Trump.
They are benefiting St. Nina's Monastery in Maryland again. You can check that out in the link. Let's make sure. Let's go live on the super chats real quick.
Has ever seen, and we will do it again.
We'll pop right back over to that in a minute.
Tore up bad trade deals and made better ones. Supported our men and women in uniform and took out the world's top terrorists. Achieved energy independence. Defended the sanctity of life. And restored law and order at the border. But as every American knows, we face an invisible enemy that we didn't ask for nor invite, but we will defeat it. We will defeat it because America is where innovation happens, and we are developing a vaccine in record time. We will defeat it because President Trump unleashed a Marshall Plan for Main Street and put hardworking taxpayers back on their feet. We will defeat it because tough times don't last. Tough Americans do. And that is what this election is all about. You, not us. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris think this election is about the government. They're wrong. It's about your family and your future. And to secure what really matters, we will call on the bedrock of what makes us the greatest country in the world. The American promise. A promise that everyone is equal under God. Under the Constitution and under the law.
Oh, yeah, I gotta say that prayer was better than Archbishop.
To we the people.
Go Arch. I don't even know how to say his name. Alpadipius.
Opportunities are endless. As
At the
Republicans,
DNC.
it's our mission to renew the American dream. Restore our way of life and rebuild the greatest economy in the world. The Socialist Democrats have a different agenda. They will dismantle our institutions, defund our police, and destroy our economy. So as you cast your vote this November, remember this. 4 years ago, President Trump promised to be your voice. He kept that promise, but there's still so much more to do. The choice before you could not be clearer. Forward in freedom or backward in socialism. Forward in prosperity or backward in poverty. Forward in personal liberty or backwards in more government control. I know which direction I'm headed. Join us, because the best is yet to come.
Wonder how many black people they're going to march out tonight.
Smith. 20 years ago, I moved to Washington, D.C. to attend Howard University. I was at a crossroads, just like America is today. I grew up on Strand Hill Road in Cleveland, a blue-collar street in a blue-collar city. When the media talks about forgotten places or working-class people who are overlooked and struggling hard, there's usually some stock photo of people who don't look like me. They never seem to show people like my mom, who worked 2 jobs as a gas station clerk, and a mom, she showed me how to persevere. They never seem to show people like my dad, who plowed snow in the winter.
Thanks, B-Dad. Thanks for the heads up.
In the summer.
Audio's good. That's
who stood by
that's
me
rare
through
for
thick
me,
and thin,
especially in the
and
beginning.
taught me strong values.
Evidently,
every day.
it's mostly a connection
They
issue
never
because
seem
I
to
use
show
Wi-Fi,
people like me.
and when I'm solo on screen,
At first,
more bit rate
I
is
didn't live
used,
the values
so,
my parents taught me.
which is why it fixes whenever I bring a guest
on
on.
the varsity football
But
team,
I guess it's not much of an issue
but
when
I only had a
I'm
1.9
splitting the screen with the
GPA.
RNC either.
But then I broke my leg.
Who is JLP?
It
who's
took a
that?
broken leg for me to really get moving in life. I prioritized schoolwork, went to Howard, and ended up working for the President of the United States. Growing up, I'd never really known a Republican. I believed all the stereotypes. It took a meeting Republicans who shared my values to show me I was wrong. Donald Trump knows that in the work of revitalizing communities,
Jesse Lee Peterson.
America's strength is America's
he would be
people.
awesome. That'll never happen.
And I can tell
That'll never happen. I might be able to get him on the show
really
at some point, though. Got a few
action.
connections to him, so we were supposed to have
important to Black communities.
Vincent James tonight, but he's rescheduling
prison
for
reform,
I think the 7th, September 7th, because
back to America.
He got banned from YouTube, so he's not really. He's trying to get settled in D-Live. Not really in the mood to be being a guest on my show. So
education is the great equalizer. That's why he secured record and permanent funding for historic.
That's why everyone needs to subscribe on D-Live now.
And is fighting hard for school choice. In the wake of the murder of Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, and legend Taliaferro, a moment of national racial consciousness.
Seriously?
I have seen his true conscience. I just wish everyone could see the deep empathy he shows to families whose loved ones were killed in senseless violence. President Trump has made it clear that if you want safe communities,
Vincent's an awesome guy. He was nice enough to come on my podcast.
Standards.
I'll
never forget Strand Hill Road.
And we did an entire episode, and then
they're tough.
The file, something was wrong with the download, and I never got to publish it. So
that's President Trump.
But he's very good.
For a New Yorker,
very gracious guy.
He's got a lot of Cleveland heart. And I'm proud to say that he's my president. God bless America.
I don't even know that this is a good strategy to pander
not a Democrat anymore, then I must be a Republican or I must be conservative. I still consider myself a liberal,
they're really going to
but
come out
liberalism has
this year.
changed, and I don't fit there anymore.
As a Black kid growing up in Texas, you were taught that you had to support Democrats because Republicans were for white people, supporting the rich, and we definitely weren't rich.
Basically, our default setting is to be a Democrat.
I'm a Democrat. My parents are Democrats. I was a huge Obama supporter.
In the 2016 primary, I voted for Bernie Sanders.
I mean, I was a socialist.
Also, if you're watching on Facebook,
and began expecting our own
Twitter,
family, that I began to kind of
YouTube,
question whether or not
I'm not really going to see your comments today
and supporting
because of
were in line with the way we were living, and that was when the shift
screen
kind of
share.
began for us.
I can only really see. I can keep up with D-Live comments on my cell phone.
She had 3 or 4 kids from 3 or 4
I don't
different
use
fathers.
OBS,
She's my
so
age. Most of them
a
are
little different than
incarcerated.
some
I
other
asked her, what
people's
you do? She goes, I'm
live
in the
streams
system.
when they do this. But
It feels like Democrats sort of get people hooked on this
I
drug
can see
of free
D-Live
money,
comments,
where they
and if you
basically
leave a
say, you know,
super
if you
chat,
want your fix, you have to keep
we
voting
will
for
check
us.
that at the end after President Trump's speech.
And then this bold man comes down an escalator in New York City.
Unless I can pull, I might be able to pull that up.
And say it right away, but deep down inside, I knew it was going to be the first Republican that I ever voted for.
On my phone as well.
His entire campaign, Worse for All Americans, that was a turning point for me. One of the hardest things to do.
What do you guys think about all of this
challenge your
effort going
own
towards
going straight
the
to
Black
the
vote?
source
Do you think
is
this
really
is a good
how I was able
strategy?
to overcome some of those pitfalls. And so I want people to hear my story and know that you can actually go from being a Democratic socialist to a Trump supporter, but you have to look deeper.
I think there's a political realignment that's taking place. I've always been very anti-war, and now Trump is by a mile the anti-war candidate. I've always been very much for free speech. Trump
Oh,
is
I
now
can
by a
actually, I
mile
can
the
see,
more pro-free
all right, I can
speech
see
candidate.
YouTube chats through
What's at stake
through
in November is
entropy on
pretty
my
much
phone as
everywhere you
well. So,
look.
what's
You
up,
either
Father Chris?
see
Glad you're
prosperity
watching.
and
Glad you're
liberty and
watching.
things that you want to preserve.
No better
Or if you're a
place to
Democrat,
watch the
everywhere you look, you see
RNC
something you want to tear down
than on
and
the
remake in
Michael
the image of
Sisco
some
show.
other country that's not as successful as we are.
I'm trying to conserve our values, our Constitution, our God-given rights, right to bear arms, freedom of speech, all the things that has always made this country great.
You know, it took me a good long time to get here, but I hope that Trump wins and that we can continue with the progress that he's made and the policies that he's put into place. Let's get our economy back on track and let's be moving in the right direction.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Van Drew. I speak to you as a member of the Republican Party, but it always wasn't that way. How I became a Republican says a lot about today's Democratic Party. I'm from South Jersey, where we work hard, look after our neighbors, and care about our communities. Years ago, I was a local dentist and was asked by the Democrats to run for a town council seat. I had my doubts, and I explained that my views were middle of the road to conservative.
I see that you made a D-Live account, Father Chris.
Tent.
That's
and
good.
They accepted
That's good.
people
Even though
like
I did
me.
figure out that I can see
I was
the
elected to
YouTube
council
comments
as
as well.
a Democrat. But as I won seats for county office, state legislature,
but
and
D-Live
Congress,
is the future.
I noticed things were
D-Live
changing.
is the future.
The Democratic Party had become less accepting of American tradition, less believing in American exceptionalism, less supportive of traditional faith and family. This was not the party that I knew. In 2018, after being elected to Congress as a Democrat, I was already uncomfortable with a San Francisco liberal running the House, which is why my first vote in Congress was cast against Nancy
Traveler,
Pelosi for Speaker.
The window
But
has
imagine
gone
how
left.
I felt
But it's gone,
after seeing members of the squad quickly take control of the Democratic Party
really far
just
right in
weeks after being
2016,
elected.
and then
the party had moved from
shifted
liberal
back
to
somehow.
radical. This new Democratic Party wasn't just for higher taxes. Now they were for open borders, against our police, and against our God-given
I had never even
rights.
heard of D-Live
When
until
the radical Democrats went after
Fuentes
President
got
Trump with
kicked off of
impeachment,
YouTube.
they made another mistake. Democratic leaders told me that I had to vote for impeachment or my life would be made difficult, and I wouldn't be allowed to run again. Listen, I'm from South Jersey, and you'd better come at me with more than just loud words and empty threats. I voted no on impeachment, and it was an easy call. Soon after, I met with President Trump, and he made me feel more comfortable and welcome in the Oval Office than Nancy Pelosi ever made me feel in her caucus. And a few days later, I officially changed parties, and I became a Republican. Let me tell you about Joe Biden. When the Democrats tried to order me around, I was ready, willing, and able to say, I've had enough with their radical socialist agenda. Do you really believe Joe Biden is ready,
I wonder how
willing,
conservative
and
this
most
guy
of
actually
all,
is.
able to do the same? As Joe says, come on, man. Joe Biden is being told what to do by the radicals running my former party, the same radicals trying to install him
I'm gonna have
as
to go
their
find
puppet
that.
president.
Fly
When I'm
reckless.
at my local diner, I tell people that America is the best nation in the world and that President Trump has helped make it that way. Republicans, independents, and even Democrats, they all know that in President Trump's America, we have a strong military, strong support for our police, strong support for our veterans, and strong support for our seniors. In President Trump's America, we have a strong supply chain, good schools, we're energy independent, and we protect our environment. There are a lot of Democrats who support our president and are disgusted for what their old party, what my old party, has become. Here's my advice. Be true to who you are now, not who the Democrats used to be. That's why I'm a proud Republican and why I will be voting for Donald Trump. Thank you. And may God bless you, God bless our president, and God bless the United States of America.
For me, the most important issue is jobs. We need to be able to pay our bills. I trust Donald Trump on jobs way more than I do Joe
Bessarion
Biden.
is going to be late.
There's no doubt that Donald Trump has built
he's at church.
the strongest
Good
economy
excuse.
we've
Good
ever
excuse.
seen, and I know
Very good
that he
reason
will
to
do
be
it
late.
again. Joe Biden doesn't have the energy, and his ideas like raising taxes, it's going to hurt us.
I am
Electing Joe Biden as the president is a
actually
huge
awaiting
risk,
the results of a
and I don't want the
test,
future
so I
of
am
my son in the hands of Joe Biden.
avoiding
I want my
public
son
gatherings
to be
at the
able to
moment.
go out and get a good education. I want the economy to be strong. I want the country that he lives in to be safe.
I
want our borders to
I
be
had
secure. And I
contact
don't want that
with
in Joe Biden's hands. Donald
someone
Trump
who
has
tested
built the
positive
strongest economy
for
we've ever
the corona
seen.
crown.
He has made
So
our country safe. And as a mom, those are
Father
things
Christopher
that I'm
not at
very
church
proud of, and those are things that are very
for
important
the
to me.
isn't tonight's a big night too, isn't it? It's
I'm sticking
the
with Donald Trump.
vigil for the Dormition.
My name is Stacia Brightman. I'm a single mother of 2 boys.
We can eat
and I work
fish
in Houston,
tomorrow.
Texas, for S&B engineers and constructors as a warehouse receiving clerk.
Hey.
After serving my
This,
country in the Marine Corps, I
black
worked
speaker
various
number
jobs,
2.
but I thought I
Black
needed a
speaker
degree
number
in order to have a career. I put myself into significant debt to earn my bachelor's degree in finance. Despite my degree and all of my efforts, at one point, my boys and I even found ourselves homeless. After being laid off yet again, I received an email from the Texas Workforce Commission about S&B's Women in Construction Earn While You Learn apprenticeship program. I thought I'd give it a try. I was a bit skeptical at first, but I said to myself, hey, if they're willing to take a chance on me, I should be willing to take a chance on myself. At the start of the program, I was making $16 an hour while I trained to become a pipe fitter helper. Looking back, it wasn't easy, but boy, was it worth it. I felt empowered that I was learning new skills and able to support my family again. I worked hard, got promoted, and even got a few raises. Later, I learned what President Donald Trump and Ivanka Trump were doing behind the scenes to make sure that people like me and you had a chance to rise up and succeed. President Trump started the National Council for the American Worker and the American Workforce Policy. Together with Ivanka, he wrote policies that made it easy for states and companies to give opportunities to hardworking Americans.
I just think
like
it's
me.
tacky.
The president and Ivanka also partnered with the Ad Council
It just seems like
to launch
overkill.
FindSomethingNew.org,
Like when
helping
it's
to connect workers and
when it's so
workers with
obvious that
training
it's
and
pandering.
apprenticeship programs where they live.
I'm not sure
If you
how
find
effective
yourself
it is.
in a
Why,
situation like mine, where you feel you have nowhere to turn,
why can't we just
nothing
focus on
to really
policy?
fall back on, and you feel like no one believes in you, go online to FindSomethingNew.org and see that President Trump believes in you. And more importantly, please believe in yourself. Keep trying, keep pushing. Times will get hard. Remember, just a few years ago, I was homeless. And you know what now? I'm set to close on a brand new home at the end of the month. So my message to you is keep pushing. You can do it. Find a training program like the one I participated in. And like me, you'll have an opportunity to build a career in life that you're proud of. So with that being said, I'd like to talk to you about a different
honestly,
kind of training.
all that
This
really
is the Trump
matters
Campaign's National Week of Volunteer Training.
is Trump
If you're
needs
like
to
me,
knock
you
it
know
out
how
of the
important
park
it is to
tonight.
put Americans back to
Pence's
work.
speech was
So get
pretty
trained and
good
get
last
involved with the
night.
campaign.
And then it was
Go
a nice
online
little
to
touch with President Trump
www.trumpvictory.com
arriving
and sign up
at
and keep the president fighting for you
Fort
for another 4
McHenry.
years.
That was pretty
Thank you
cool.
and God bless.
But he needs to knock it out the park tonight, and it needs to be very populist, very nationalist. I mean, it is good to give black people an alternative to Black Lives Matter.
My name is Dan Scavino. When I was 16 years old, I got a part-time job at a golf course just outside of New York City. One day, I was cleaning golf clubs when a man pulled into the parking lot. There wasn't a single person who didn't know who it was. Everyone's jaws were on the ground. It was Donald Trump. All I could think was, nobody will ever believe this at school tomorrow. I never would have imagined it at this moment, but I've now been at President Trump's side for almost 30 years. All these years later, there's a part of me that still feels a sense of wonder every day when I consider the journey we have taken together and taken with so many of you watching tonight. Because my personal story with Donald Trump, in so many ways, is yours too. He saw potential in me, a spark, the possibility that I could be more, do more, and achieve more than even I thought was possible. That's how he views this country too. We have all just scratched the surface of what we can do together. If there's one thing I hope you will hear from me tonight, it is this. President Trump is a kind and decent man. I wish you could be at his side with me to see his endless kindness to everyone he meets. The media could be a fog machine, creating a partisan mist around everything that's hard to see through. But in 2016, you navigated through it all. You found your way through the swamp, and you arrived safely on the other side, with Donald J. Trump as your new president. There are some things that were true then, reasons why you choose him as your country's leader, that remain true today. You know, the president cannot be bought.
I kind of agree with you, Dark Traveler. Father Christopher does not agree with us, but
he knows the president cannot be bought.
I don't think it's a black pill, Father Chris. It's
first leader.
a new,
too tough, and too
yes,
savvy.
We might be 1917 Russia here in the U.S. right now.
Media class.
But
you know the president cannot be.
Maybe the whites are going to win this time.
Fighting spirit.
And by whites, I'm making a reference to the white army from Russia,
not America. Is what he does.
Not white people, but
while they call it chaos, President Trump calls it change.
Well, you know, I just don't, you know, if you look at the bread riots from 1917, like in March of 1917, before the revolution, there are a lot of really weird parallels to what is happening now here.
And so many more.
And
he did that once, and he will do it again.
I think President Trump will win, but I don't see that being a permanent solution.
We all just need somebody to believe in our capacity to do great things.
We will balkanize, but we have
Trump believed in me when I was
the advantage of historical precedents. We can get ready.
One of the wealthiest, most famous people on the entire planet.
We can organize as an Orthodox and traditionalist Christian community.
He sees greatness in our
We're all going to move to the Northwest and West Virginia. We're going to have our own territory.
Can be yours.
It's going to be great. We're going to take over all the local politic and institutions.
Just think about what he has done with this convention.
Have critical mass.
You've heard from real Americans
in one area for us to control.
People who are just like
and there will be no Marxists,
people whose lives
no leftists, no progressives allowed.
And his policies. You've heard from people like John Peterson, who has a factory in Ohio.
You're wrong, Father Chris. We're gonna get you down with the plan.
In Montana. Jason Joyce, a fisherman from Maine. And Chris
We're gonna have a
dairy farmer,
traditionalist conference in the Midwest in the spring.
Get a second chance with a
in my favorite state of Iowa.
You've seen brand new Americans become our
all
citizens in a
the important trads are going to go there.
You felt the passion.
We're going to listen to cool people like E. Michael Jones and
family fled communism and oppression.
We're going to enjoy the conference, and then we're going to come up with a plan. We're going to come up with a plan. That's a great plan, Father Chris. It's a great plan.
On November 3rd,
we need critical mass.
Man who believes in America.
We need critical mass.
In you. Vote for my friend.
But if you think the plan sucks, you should really come to the conference.
Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, I know about the PNW. But this isn't of course it's gonna fail when it's basically a Nazi plan.
It's an honor to come before you tonight from the Commonwealth of Kentucky. As the only leader in Washington not from either New York or
Dr. E. Michael Jones comes on the show on September 3rd.
Consequential for Middle America. President Trump knows He inherited the first generation of Americans who couldn't promise their children.
Mitch
a better
McConnell.
life
This
than
guy
their own.
is the worst.
He's made it his mission of this administration
Talking about
to
Rhino.
change that. I know because I work beside him every day. Today's Democrat Party doesn't
Just a
want
little
to improve
background
life for
info on
middle America.
McConnell.
They prefer that all of us in flyover
Well, you
country
can, if you send
and
some
let them
super chats,
decide
Dark
how we should
Traveler,
live
you can
our
ask him
lives.
whatever you want
They
on the
want to
live
tell
stream.
you when you can go to work, when your kids can go to school. They want to
But
tax your job
Mitch
out of
McConnell,
existence
if
and
a
then send you a
candidate is
government check for
excessively
unemployment.
conservative,
They want to tell you what kind of
Mitch
car you can
McConnell
drive,
will
what sources of information
put all, will funnel
and
like
even
millions
how
of
many
dollars
hamburgers
into the
you
person's
can eat.
primary opponent
They
to
want to
basically get
defund
the
the
moderate
police
to
and
win.
take away your
And
Second
he does this
Amendment
all
rights.
over the country.
They want free health care for illegal immigrants, yet they offer no protection
We have to
at
figure
all
out
for
how to get
unborn Americans.
Mitch
They want
McConnell
to pack the Supreme
out
Court
of
with liberals
the
intent
Senate.
on eroding our constitutional rights. And they want to codify all this by making the swamp itself, Washington, D.C., America's 51st state. With 2 more liberal
Mitch
senators,
McConnell is
we
the
cannot
swamp.
undo the damage
Is the
they've
swamp.
done. Now you understand why Democrats spent an entire week telling us about who Joe Biden is, not what he intends to do. I'm immensely proud of the work the Republican Senate has done. We are the firewall against Nancy Pelosi's agenda. Like President Trump, we won't be bullied by a liberal media intent on destroying America's institutions.
But problems like that PNW thing,
on behalf of the
any
millions of
movement
Americans
that
whose
is
stories
explicitly
aren't told
racialist
in today's
or
newspapers, whose struggle
it's
are just as
poor
real.
optics. It's just gonna
We'll
get
continue to
destroyed.
support American families as we defeat the coronavirus.
Steve
and return our
Bannon is
economy
the
to the
swamp,
envy
says
of the
Father
world.
Chris.
The
Well, you
stakes have
know,
never been higher.
I
Which is why
liked
I'm
Steve
asking
Bannon,
you
but if
to
it's
support
true
Republican Senate
that
candidates
he,
across the country
if the
and
allegations
re-elect
against him are true,
my
I would have
friend,
to agree with you.
President Donald Trump.
And some of his associates that I know, I'm not big fans.
So all of
Nasty
these titans
people.
of American sport know that many of life's most valuable lessons are learned on the field of competition and the ability to overcome adversity.
But I might have been given a bad grade. But I've got
Any movement that doesn't what?
And your relentless will
That doesn't
to
hate
win,
white people.
win, win. These qualities
Well,
embody the American spirit,
you have to be pretty clever with how you package it.
defying limits.
It's a game cast in sports immortality.
And always striving for greatness. You stayed in the fight. You finished the fight. Often bumpy roads lead to beautiful places.
Because as long as you can win the narrative with the masses, you can get away with things that our enemies don't like. As long as you can win a mass number of people, and you have to get past their problem is our masses are conditioned to find a lot of things very repulsive. So, you know, like things that Dr. E. Michael Jones will come on my show and probably say most people will find their defenses will immediately come up, and then
I am Dana White, the president of the UFC.
they won't even really understand
Many of you know who
what
I am,
he's
what
trying
I
to
do,
say.
and that I am friends with the president.
Red
I
elephants.
spoke at this convention
well,
4
you
years
know,
ago, and I'm back because I believe we need President Trump's leadership. now
YouTube
more than
isn't
ever.
everything.
Before the pandemic, President Trump built the greatest economy in our nation's history.
We don't need
and created
YouTube for a
opportunities
movement.
for all Americans like no one before him. Financial markets hit all-time highs. Unemployment was at an all-time low, and we weren't facing the
Also,
lawless
Dark
destruction
Traveler,
that now is occurring in a few of our great
if we
cities.
actually were to create a real party that was registered with the FEC, censor, you then get some protection from censorship.
Police departments and
at
other
least
law
in theory.
enforcement, even some fire departments have faced opposition from many in this country. But they are always the people who are asked to step
I know
when
he
things are
thinks
at their
that he's
worst
wrong,
and put
but,
themselves at risk. That has certainly been the case during this
No,
ongoing
Dr. E.
pandemic.
Michael Jones, I think, makes a lot of good points. He's brilliant, but
is not the answer. The first responders
he
have always
is
taken
a
care
little
of us. And now more than ever, we need to take care of them.
He's a little naive when it comes to race realism and stuff like that. Yeah, yes, with the FEC, if you donate over $50,
COVID would bring. But
it is public donation. Anything less than that can actually be anonymous. So not completely true. You can give small donations anonymously. But if you have it, like, that's a problem if you're the National Justice Party, right? And you're railing against the Jews. That's a problem. If you have a legitimate party that is optical, like let's say a traditionalist Christian party, it's gonna take the doxing. Who cares? Oh my goodness, I'm in a party that is based around my religious beliefs that protects my right to be a traditionalist Christian. Like, who cares if you get doxed for that? Who cares?
Everyone in our country. Not just Republicans, not just
National Justice Party is not going to work.
Single American.
Because they will be.
Trump recognized that one of the small ways to instill a sense of normalcy
right-wing watch will be all over that.
Back entertainment options.
And
the president
if you donate to them and they are FEC registered, you are going to be on a list.
Overcome the challenges of staging live professional
but
sporting events.
We can have a. I think we can make a traditionalist Christian party.
You know what? We did it.
That.
The UFC was the
is
first
optical.
To do it,
we're not
and we are
going out and
to do it. Now, other sports have joined
it doesn't
us.
surprise me. Now, right-wing watch, you know, it's not the end of the world if they write about you. They wrote about me.
Make no mistake about
hasn't really affected.
It's
all about how you respond. But if you're, I also wasn't donating to
at this critical time.
Cringe groups
and I will
like,
say it again.
Like that.
He's one of the most loyal human beings I have ever met. The man has unstoppable energy. No one, and I mean no one, is going to outwork this guy. But most importantly, he truly loves and believes in our country. He believes in the people of this country.
Well, the way I understand America First, B-Dad, is that it's more of a coalition within the Republican Party, which I am pretty actively involved in.
Enjoy the freedom this country has provided to all of us. While we have certainly experienced a ton of negativity in 2020,
yes, the Satan machine is rigged against us, but we have truth on our side, and they don't.
And I'm telling you right now, he will do it again. And remember,
no need to be completely black-pilled. Just be smart.
In modern times who is
National Justice Party, not smart.
He said he would do during his
but
campaign.
We can do it and be smart.
There's this quote that I love from Ronald Reagan,
smarter
where
than
he
them.
said, "There isn't any problem we can't solve if government will give us the facts, tell us what needs to be done, then get out of the way and let us have at it." And what that means to me is, as Americans,
not necessarily going to disagree with you on the voting thing,
and we face the tough times head on, irrespective of
your
gender.
But here's the deal with the America First coalition and the Republican Party.
Is freedom, equality, and opportunity.
Managed
that's what it means to be an American.
A significant U.S. Senate campaign.
Let's re-elect President Trump.
I've been actively involved in the Republican Party.
And continue to find solutions to those problems.
The America First people. They actively work to suppress you and defeat you behind the scenes.
To re-elect President Trump.
The Republican Party is still married to terrible ideas.
Very careful.
And I don't think that
is your next governor, senator.
I was optimistic at one point, but
it is so important to vote. And
I just don't think there's any saving the Republican Party. And I think after President Trump, I think it's just going to. You can tell by the people that the Republicans are marching up to speak and propping up, like Nikki Haley, and we're just going to go right back to where the Republican Party was before Trump. That's just my opinion.
And good evening. I'm Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes. I'm a proud American and proud descendant of warrior ancestors, women and men alike, from my Hawaiian, Filipino, Japanese, and Spanish heritage.
I agree with you, Father Chris. Voting, I think this election does matter because we definitely, I think Trump winning buys us time, and we certainly really
He
need that
arrived with
time.
nothing but faith, determination, and a willingness to work hard. He lived the American dream, building businesses, a family, and seeing me become Utah's first minority statewide elected official. Today, I channel my warrior roots by battling human trafficking.
Wonder if this guy's
I've
Mormon.
been able to lead some of the largest trafficking prosecutions in America and travel to foreign countries, working with law enforcement and NGOs to dismantle trafficking networks and rescue people from the most brutal conditions imaginable. Young girls and women sold into sex slavery, young boys and men forced into labor servitude, illegal adoptions, organ harvesting, human life.
See what you're saying, Dark
utterly
Traveler.
debased. President Donald Trump.
I think
is
we
a
make it to
fierce
the
warrior
midterms.
against human
I
trafficking.
don't know why. I just think
How
we
do I
do.
know? Early in 2017, I had occasion to visit with him about our rescues. He asked insightful questions, expressed deep concern for victims. Overwhelmed with compassion, he promised to attack this evil. President Trump summoned Ivanka and leaders from his cabinet.
But I am sure
directing
there were.
resources and hundreds of millions of dollars
Let's
for
see. Father
raising
Chris says, "You
awareness,
really think that
liberating
Soros and his
victims,
people can
prosecuting predators, and
beat
empowering
Trump in
survivors."
America?" Well, I don't
done
think any.
more
I mean, I'm
to
pretty
combat
sure
human
that
trafficking than any
in
administration
20th century
in modern
Russia,
history.
1916,
kept.
let's say, people were, you really think those Bolshevik guys can beat the Tsar and his army?
Of drug addiction,
Especially after
and
the
improve
revolt in,
mental and
what was it,
behavioral health.
1915, that
Declared the
failed.
opioid
They're probably,
epidemic
they'll
a
never beat
national
us.
public health emergency and made available billions of dollars to confront this threat. He also signed a bill creating a phone number like 911, but for mental health. When activated, 988 will be a lifeline for those struggling with thoughts of suicide, depression,
But we will win in the end.
self-harm, or even hurting
We
others.
have truth
It will
on
save
our side.
countless American lives. A few months ago, my father, my warrior hero, lost his fight with cancer. When he passed, he had by his bedside
I know, Father Chris.
his
Donald
scriptures,
Trump is going to fix
family
everything.
photos,
QAnon said
President
so.
Trump gave me to give him. Dad loved that pen. It represented freedom to him, the freedom that only exists when someone is willing to fight for it. To my father, President Trump is that ultimate warrior fighting for our freedom. If you listen to Democrats, the media, and liberal elite, they will tell you that America's light doesn't shine as brightly around the world as it once did. That is simply not true. The same light that brought my father to America inspires the desperate and downtrodden equally today. Believe me, I interact with some of the most marginalized victims on earth, and they love America. They love President Trump because he's fighting for their freedom and America's freedom. Thank you, President Trump. God bless you, and God bless America, this land of greatness.
God bless America, land that I love.
My name is Debbie Flood, and I own a small foundry and machine shop in Wisconsin that manufactures cast bronze architectural hardware. My father, who was a World War II veteran, started the business with some used equipment and the American dream. Today, we are one of the only U.S. companies left who make our products from start to finish under one roof. We really make things, and we love it. When we lost nearly 50% of our business to
American
China
Christian
in the
Party, that might be a good
mid-2000s, we
name.
wondered how a
Might
small
be a good
company
name.
like ours could continue to compete. At that time, Joe Biden was a senator. He voted to normalize trade with China and help pave the way for them to join
think
the
President
WTO,
Trump has been a mixed
even though they
bag.
were hurting American companies like ours.
I like
But
him,
we're tenacious and we're creative.
but
We took a risk and purchased a 3D printer. 3D printing technology allows
it's
us
nothing
to do
quite like
things that
Vladimir
China
Putin,
can't.
guys.
Now we can take a customer's idea from sketch to sample to production in just a few weeks. This opened up new opportunities for us. Later, we fought our way through the Great Recession. Then Donald Trump was elected, and we breathed a sigh of relief. He actually fought for American workers and American craftsmen. He actually cared about bringing back those three beautiful words, made in America. We no longer had to succeed despite government. Now the government was on our side. We enjoyed a thriving economy stimulated by President Trump's pro-business and pro-worker policies. Thanks to the Trump tax cuts, I've been able to raise my
Trump did
employees'
actually
wages
reduce
so they
legal
got a pay
immigration
raise
quite
and a tax
significantly,
cut.
so
Even
that's
in the
good.
face of the pandemic, the president doubled down on his support
We
for
only have
business.
300 miles of a
Thanks
wall,
to President Trump, our business was approved for the Paycheck Protection Program. That allowed us to keep our people working at a time when the future was very
part of this
uncertain.
is
Our president understands that the best solutions
he has been
unleash the
impeded pretty much
innovation of
since he got
American
there.
entrepreneurs
It's been
and
one
the
thing
creativity of
after
American
another.
workers. Joe Biden doesn't really know anything about business.
And then
or
he
creating
hired his
jobs.
son-in-law, which was a really
He spent
bad idea.
47 years in government, and it's doubtful that he'll finally figure it out in year
Like Stephen
48.
Miller was supposed to be
He's pledged to raise our taxes and bring back excessive
who Jared
regulation.
Kushner ended up being.
I own a business whose mission it is to solve problems. Anything can be solved with a little creativity. It takes courage, commitment, and ideas.
This lady's from
And those are all
Wisconsin.
things that
I will
come
say,
naturally to
I love
President Trump,
Wisconsin.
and that's why he has my
One of my
support.
favorite places in America, absolutely. And I thought I liked cheese. But then I went to Wisconsin, and I realized that I never actually had cheese before, because that was the best cheese I ever had in my life.
I live in New York City public housing.
I'm the resident council president for South Jamaica Houses.
I am resident council president of Washington Houses, which is in Spanish Harlem.
My name is Carmen Quinones, and I'm the president of Douglas Houses, 3,500 strong residents here. And I am a
Yeah,
lifelong
COVID-19 was
I would really
a
hate
good
to get
opportunity
started on this
for Stephen Miller to get President Trump's ear on the immigration thing. So,
is disgraceful.
This mayor
because before
has made
that,
our lives here
it was not going well.
every housing development
The H-1B1, H-1B visas were
New York City Housing Authority
being
has
negotiated
influx
up,
of cash,
and they were playing around with bringing in more of them, and then COVID-19 happened.
President
And
Trump is putting on New York City public housing. I think it's wrong.
That was that.
The Democrats put illegal immigrants before Black Americans. How is it that we have people waiting?
This is
on waiting
actually a really good take.
Public housing for 10 years or
Um,
more, but yet we have
that
illegal immigrants.
illegal immigrants are getting put before Black Americans. That's a really good talking point, and I actually used it on one of the campaigns I was working on. But it was a good way to pitch the 10-year moratorium on all immigration netting at
President
zero.
Trump's administration
Like, hey, look, these
has
jobs
opened their
that
ear and
temporary
have
work
listened.
visas
There's
are
been
taking,
improvement in
that,
public housing.
these
We're
used to
very
actually be
appreciative of
like
this
these jobs that Americans don't want to do. Actually, yeah, well, actually blacks used to do those jobs.
going on and bringing real.
One example is in Maryland at like the crab pickers. They use visas now to bring in like Hispanics to do the crab picking. But that used to be little black ladies doing the crab picking.
My name is Ann Dorn. I'd like to introduce you to my husband, David, father of 5, brother of 12, grandfather of 10, friend to thousands. He was the most kind, dedicated, loving life partner I could have hoped for. He had a big smile and a heart to match. He was blessed with the gift of gab.
Oh, one thing we do have to remember with elections
and inspire people
is you're not,
especially young people. Oh, how kids loved him.
You can't
and they really
practically
loved him back.
change people's minds on issues.
Dave was all about
really
service.
There's
He
limited
served 38
opportunity
years
for
in the
that.
St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department.
what
and 6 years
you're
as chief
really
of police
doing is
of the
organizing
Langley Acres
votes.
Police Department. After
So
44
Father Chris does
years, he
have some good
retired from law
points.
enforcement.
With
But he
I
never
just think it's
retired from helping a
overkill with
friend
the
in need.
African American
Since he
pandering
befriended
to the
every
point that
person
it's
he
kind of
met,
just cheese,
he was
like
a very
obvious what
busy
they're
man.
doing to everybody that's looking. But
One example of that was his
what they
friendship with a
just
young man
did
named Lee.
is actually what they should
David
be
met
doing.
him when Lee was
The
just a kid, after members of his family were attacked and murdered.
illegal immigrants
Dave took a
and
special
temporary
interest in the
work
boy.
visa
They
programs.
bonded, and their
These are
friendship
people
grew
that
and
are being
remained strong
put
throughout
before
the
you.
years.
So
Lee
you should
eventually
vote
opened a
for
pawn
us
shop.
so that
He
you can get
trusted
these
Dave
jobs
implicitly
instead
and
of
asked Dave to help with
cheap
security.
foreign labor or illegal
David
labor.
readily agreed. Whenever the shop's alarm would go off,
If you're gonna pander
the alarm company
to
called Dave.
non-whites, that is
He would
how you should
investigate.
do it.
If he got a call after I went to bed, he
That's
would
not
wake me up and
pandering,
tell
it's
me he
just
was going to
facts.
Lee's, just to make sure everything was all right. Most of the time, they were false alarms, triggered by a storm or animals. But I never rested easily until I heard Dave's key turn in the door, knowing he was home safe. The alarm that went off the morning of June 2nd was for real. It was a violent night in St. Louis. 4 officers were shot. Others were hit with rocks and fireworks. At least 5 businesses were damaged, looted, or set on fire.
Check the entropy
As the
real
officer
quick.
wellness coordinator and
Just for-
CIT coordinator with the police department, I was keenly aware of the rioting and spent the evening getting ready to mobilize support for officers who were impacted. After I'd gone to bed, David received a call from Lee's alarm company. The front door of the pawn shop had been breached. This time he didn't wake me up to tell me. He probably knew I would have tried to stop it or insist on going with him. As I slept, looters were ransacking
You might be
the
right,
shop.
Father Chris. Maybe it has to be obvious.
They shot and
But,
killed David in cold
but
blood.
yeah, an election is definitely
And then
an
live streamed
organization
his
of votes,
execution and his last
not
moments on
really
Earth.
a education campaign. So
David's grandson was watching the video on Facebook in real time, not realizing he was watching his own grandfather dying on the sidewalk. I learned of all this around 4 a.m. when our doorbell rang. The chief of police was standing outside. I wondered why Dave had not answered the door. It wasn't uncommon for him to be up watching TV at this time. I called out to him several times. There was no reply. He just wasn't there. I let in the chief, and fighting back tears, he uttered the words every officer's spouse dreads. I relive that horror in my mind every single day. My hope is that having you relive it with me now will help shake this country from this nightmare we're witnessing in our cities and bring about positive, peaceful change.
yeah, this is
How do
good.
we get to this point where so many young people are callous and indifferent towards human life? This isn't a video game where you can commit mayhem and then just hit reset and bring all the characters back to life. David is never coming back to me. He was murdered by people who didn't know and just didn't care. He would have done anything to help them. Violence and destruction are not legitimate forms of protest.
Amen.
They do not safeguard Black lives. They only destroy them. President Trump understands this, has offered federal help to restore order in our communities. In a time when police departments are short on resources and manpower, we need that help. We should accept that help. We must heal before we can affect change, but we cannot heal amid devastation and chaos. President Trump knows we need more Davids in our communities, not fewer. We need to come together in peace and remember that every life is precious.
Good evening. I'm Ben Carson. a retired neurosurgeon, and a public servant. Before I begin, I'd like to say that our hearts go out to the Blake family and the other families who've been impacted by the tragic events in Kenosha. As Jacob's mother has urged the country, let's use our hearts, our love, and our intelligence to work together to show the rest of the world how humans are supposed to treat each other. America is great when we behave greatly. In order to succeed and change, we must first come together in love of our fellow citizens. History reminds us that necessary change comes through hope and love, not senseless and destructive violence. Abraham Lincoln once saw an America divided that, quote, "Your purpose then, plainly stated, is that you will destroy the government unless you be allowed to construe and enforce the Constitution as you please on all points in dispute between you and us. You will rule or ruin in all events," unquote. These words of warning are relevant today. We have a choice. Do we want big government that controls our lives from cradle to grave? Or do we believe in the power and wisdom of the people and their ability to self-govern?
I like very small government,
from
as in
federal government.
Absolute authority and one
Donald
ruler.
J. Trump believes in the people.
One person.
He is one of us. He makes promises.
Trump for
and
life.
He keeps them.
King Trump.
He is transparent, and we certainly know what he's thinking. He does not submit to political correctness or to its enforcers, the media. He is real. We need courage. We can't cower in the corner. No one calls us a name, believing that keep us.
This is actually a good. This is a good
That
speech,
is not
actually.
Courage. And that will not lead us to a good and just place.
I mean, Ben Carson is a
We
little
must
sleepy
remember
when he
all
talks,
those
but
who sacrificed everything in order to give us freedom. And we must be willing to do the same for those who come after us. President Trump does not dabble in identity politics. He wants everyone to succeed and believes in the adage, a rising tide lifts all boats. Many on the other side love to incite division by claiming that President Trump is a racist. They could not be
but
more
tomorrow
wrong.
the Democrats will
Years ago,
say
Jesse Jackson gave Donald Trump an award
RNC was
for the
divisive.
economic opportunities he created for black people. In Palm Beach, Florida, Donald Trump led the crusade to allow blacks and Jews into private clubs and resorts. One of the first things he did as president was bring the Office of Historically Black Colleges and Universities into the White House so that it could get proper attention and financial support. Before the pandemic, African American unemployment was at an all-time low. President Trump accomplished prison reform. He created incentives to encourage investors to become involved with economically deprived areas of America. He strongly supports school choice, fully recognizing that no matter what circumstances a person is born into, they can achieve success with a good education. It was true for me. When my mother forced me to read books about doctors, entrepreneurs, inventors, and
I think we should
scientists,
abandon public
I
school.
began to recognize that the person who has the most to do with what happens to you in life
Homeschool your
is
kids.
you. My mother always told me, Ben, you can do anything, but I will never allow you to become a victim. It was then that I stopped listening to the people who were trying to convince me that I was a victim and that others were responsible for my
Either that or we take over the
What
school
is
boards
racist
ourselves. But
is the fact that African Americans have the highest abortion rate. President Trump is the most pro-life president in the country's history. He will continue to fight for those who cannot yet speak. The vision of a shining city up on a hill came from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. America is that shiny city. We are the beacon of hope for the world. At this moment in time, President Donald Trump is the man with the courage, the vision, and the ability to keep it
the teachers
shining
union needs to
brightly.
be, well, you know, I just don't like the idea of
President of the Police Benevolent
an
Association,
institution
speaking to you
that
on behalf of 50,000
teaches
active
our
and retired
children
New York
stuff
City
that can
police
be
officers. We are the
taken
proud men and
over
women who
by
wear a shield
and
on our
infiltrated
chest
by
and put
people that want
ourselves
to
in harm's way to protect our city.
indoctrinate our
We
kids
are proud to endorse our
ideas
president,
like
Donald J. Trump,
LGBTQ
for
and
re-election because the
transgenderism and all
stakes
that
have
crap.
never been higher. Like cops across the country, we are staring down the barrel of a public safety disaster. More than 1,000 people have been shot in New York
Man,
City so far
yeah,
this
we
year.
probably
Almost 300 have been killed.
probably
These are not
need
just
public
numbers.
schooling,
These are real
but
people.
there should
A father
definitely
gunned
be
down
other
while holding his
options.
7-year-old daughter's hand. A beloved neighborhood peacemaker killed by a stray bullet. A 17-year-old
And I think we could
who made all
maybe
the right choices,
incentivize those
who
other
worked hard to go
options,
to college
take some of the
and earned a
power
sports
away from the
scholarship, murdered
teachers'
before he
unions.
can tell his mother the news. A 1-year-old child shot dead in his stroller. Innocent people, innocent lives lost. One tragedy is too many, but every day the number keeps growing. And every day our communities are asking us, why is this happening? The answer is simple. The Democrats have walked away from us. They have walked away from police officers, and they've walked away from the innocent people we protect. Democratic politicians have surrendered our streets and our institutions. The loudest voices have taken control, and our so-called leaders are scrambling to catch up with them. In city after city, they've slashed police budgets. They have hijacked and dismantled the criminal justice system. They've passed laws that made it impossible for police officers to do our job effectively.
Pass
Here's
laws.
the sad truth that every cop in this country knows. The violence and chaos we're seeing now isn't a side effect. It isn't an unintended consequence. It's actually the goal. The radical left doesn't really want better policing. They don't really care about making the justice system fairer. What they want is no policing. What they want is a justice
guy's
system
not
that
wrong.
just stops working altogether. In places where Democrats are in power, the radical left is getting exactly what they want, and our country is suffering for it. I've been a New York City police officer for 36 years. I've spent 21 of those years protecting the cops who protect New Yorkers. I've never seen our streets go this bad so quickly. I've never heard from so many cops from every corner of the country who are saying the same thing. Our hands are tied.
Hang
If we're
tight,
going to turn the
guys.
tide and
I am
restore law
just
and
gonna
order,
check
we
the
cannot fall into the
studio
left's
to
trap.
see if any of
There
my
is
friends
nobody
are
who
sitting in
hates
there
bad
waiting.
cops more than good cops, but that doesn't matter to the radical left.
That would be
To
a no.
them, we're all just bad because we're all just blue. Their anti-law enforcement campaign isn't about a single incident. It isn't the result of one bad law or one bad policy. It's about a message. The message is police officers are the enemy. The message is criminals have the right to resist arrest. The message is if you commit a crime, if you victimize the most vulnerable of people, the justice system will not hold you accountable. That's the message echoing through city halls and state houses across our country. It's playing on a loop in the media. The criminals have heard
Evidently,
that message, and
I
they're
am
taking
not
full
seeing my
advantage.
YouTube
We
chats.
must stop that message. We must expose the left's lies about police
So,
officers and the job
sorry,
that they do.
people, but
And we will do that because we have something that they don't.
not
We have a real
sure.
leader.
Should
We
go
have a
sign up on DLive and comment on DLive. But because of my screen shared,
voice
it's
in the
not
most
like
powerful
normal
office in our
where I
country.
can see the
We have President
sidebar with
Donald
the
J.
chats
Trump.
from all the different platforms.
Unlike the
So
Democrats who are running in fear of the mob in the street,
I
President Trump
actually
has
see
never
the
apologized for
I see
supporting
the
police officers
YouTubes
and
on
standing
my
up for law and order.
on my phone.
Unlike the
Sorry.
Democrats who froze in the face of rioting and looting, President Trump matches his words with his actions. He gives law enforcement the support and the tools we need to go out there and put a stop to it, period. And the
El Mastrito,
it has never been harder to be a
you said
police
he's a
officer in this
doctor, but you should
country.
also mention
But there are
Trump's
two things
endorsement
that
of
keep us
mandatory
going.
vaccines.
We look at the victims, the vulnerable.
I don't know that that's true. I actually believe that Trump quietly signed an executive order
let them down,
stating that the
while we do
vaccines
that,
will
we
be
hear the words of our
voluntary.
president, who says to police officers everywhere,
So
I will never let you down. We know
maybe
that
he said
hasn't,
something once,
and we know
but
that he won't.
he definitely signed
We've
an
been
executive
fortunate to
order
have
on
him in
it.
office these past 4 years, and we know that we cannot afford to lose him. When it
So
comes
I
to
know
your
everybody
safety,
thinks
your family's safety, and the safety of all
everybody
Americans,
thinks that
there's
they're
no
going to be
other choice.
mandatory, but
You
I don't
won't
think
be
they
safe
will.
in Joe Biden's
I'm a little
America.
white pilled on that. I
We
don't
can
think
have
we're
4
going to
more
have
years
to
of
take
President
the.
Trump, or you
The
can
only
have
thing
no
that might
safety,
really
no
happen
justice,
is,
and no peace.
employers might require it, and you can't come to work.
My name is Rudy Giuliani, and I'm the former mayor of New York City. In 2013,
B-Dive, thanks for the
my city
diamond.
elected a
Thank you, sir.
self-described progressive Democrat.
Yeah, sorry you got to go. We will.
New York City once described as
I look
America's
forward to
crime
seeing
capital
you.
had
I
become,
think
by the mid-1990s,
on the 3rd.
America's
So next Thursday
safest
is
large
E.
city.
Michael Jones. So look forward to seeing
Now,
you then.
today, my city is in shock. Murders, shootings, and violent crime are increasing at percentages unheard of in the past. We're seeing the return of rioting and looting. During riots, this Democrat mayor, like others, has often
I'll
prevented
have
the
to check
police
that
from
out
making
later,
arrests.
Dark Traveler.
And even when arrests are made, liberal, progressive
Yeah, Trump
DAs
spouts off a lot
release the
and
rioters so as not to
then
disrupt.
backtracks on some
New
things.
Yorkers
So
wonder, how
maybe
did
that
we
was
get
one of those
overwhelmed by
things. I
crime
don't know,
so
but
quickly and decline so fast? Don't let Democrats do to America what they have done to New York. Again, the Democrats are urging you to vote for an obviously defective candidate. Biden has changed his principles so
Alex,
often,
why?
he no longer
Thoughts
has
on the
any
recent
principles.
banning of
He's a
Vincent
Trojan
James?
horse
Well,
with
garbage.
Bernie, AOC,
Vincent James was supposed to be on the show
Black
tonight,
Lives Matter, and his party's
but
entire left wing.
because of all that, we rescheduled. He will be on.
Execute
He actually just texted me. He's coming on September 10th.
Socialist policies.
So E. Michael Jones and then Vincent James.
Unprecedented wave of lawlessness
Thursday to Thursday.
began with a
So the next 2 Thursday streams
just
are going to be lit.
The unforgivable police killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Peaceful protest began all over the land. The condemnation of the killing was universal. From President Trump to Democrat leaders, it seemed.
Stanky's here, yes. If vaccines are mandatory by employment, yeah, that is kind of worse. But you know, that's how things have been going. We've been being ruled by corporations. All the censorship has been corporations, big tech, getting fired from your job for saying having the wrong opinion. That's been the pattern.
They had President be country and agreement against police brutality would be very valuable for the country. It would also make President Trump appear to be an effective leader. None of that. So Black
Dark
Lives
Traveler.
Matter,
I don't know who you're talking about,
into
but
action, and in a flash, they hijacked the peaceful protest.
maybe send me a DM on Telegram after the stream.
Soon protests turned into riots in many other American cities, almost all Democrat. Businesses were burned and crushed, people beaten, shot and killed, police officers routinely assaulted, badly beaten, and occasionally murdered. And the police handcuffed by progressive Democrat mayors from doing anything but observe the crimes,
Vincent James.
absorb
Okay.
the blows. But the worst of it.
Well, that's all right. That's all right. Send the super chat when he's on, and I will air your grievances to
The
him.
murder of 4-year-old Gran Talfero in Kansas City shocked the nation, but not Black Lives Matter. Or there are many
I
Democrats.
know that he shares a lot. Like he does a lot of forwarding.
Brandon
from other
Hendricks
channels, but
was killed in the Bronx just days after graduating high
I don't
school
know.
and on his
Maybe
way
he
to St.
does.
John's to play basketball. He passed. with
He's
only
not
a
the
brief
only
mention.
one.
1-year-old Davil Gardner Jr. was shot and killed in a stroller at a cookout in Brooklyn, and it caused no outrage. For President Trump and for us Republicans, all Black lives matter, and the lives of LeGrand and
Hey,
Brandon
Vincent
and
James
Davil matter to us.
is
All lives matter to us.
I've had
This
he's
continuous
more
rise in
based than he
Democratic
lets
cities
on.
gives you a good view of the future.
Maybe he'll lit on a little more now that he's only on D Live.
Cities for
So,
homicides, like the top cities for rioting and looting,
but I like him. He's a good. Been nothing but nice to
are
me.
governed
So.
by progressive Democrats. Using the progressive Democrat approach to crime, which is to do nothing substantive to reduce it, to release prisoners as many and as soon as possible. And to go to war with the police, the only group with the ability to protect our citizens.
Alex Y says, bring Eric Stryker on the show.
Creates the risk that you will bring this
I almost went on his show when I
to your suburb.
first became, back in December when I got mixed up with Nick Fuentes and all that. But
cannot be done from your basement.
I don't know if I'm ready to go in that. I don't know if I'm ready for all that, Alex. Maybe we'll see. I do have his.
President Trump.
I have his email. We have been in touch briefly
to
before.
preserve the American system of government and our way of life. In critical times in our history, America has always been blessed with the right person to handle the crisis. Washington, Lincoln, Roosevelt, Reagan were perfect for the challenges they faced and brought our nation through gloriously. President Trump, with this boundless love of our country and all our people, his disciplined work ethic, his exceptional ability to inspire, and his deep understanding of our system of government and the strength of American values is the man we can trust to preserve and even improve.
I think Tropical Storm Lara is in the area, so signal might get kind of more and more choppy as we go on.
Attorney announced
Yeah,
against Dr. Charles Lieber
that
and
doesn't.
two Chinese
National Justice does hit pieces on Christians all the time. That doesn't shock me.
most powerful leaders to sell out America to China.
China is going to eat our lunch? Come on, man.
I mean, I'm friends. I mean, I know some of their guys, good guys, but I'm just not. Not gonna say anything. Anything more than I've already said. I think some of those guys have good intentions, but I don't think they're going about it the right way.
And they knew they can get to Joe Biden's heart through his son, Hunter Biden. They hope to raise $1.5 billion.
I am a minute behind.
Want to talk about it? Joe Biden.
All right. Well, let's hit that refresh while we have this little Joe Biden thing going on. And while that's refreshing, we'll see if anybody's sitting over here in my studio. No, nobody's here. Man, that really Oh, there we go.
Flacking for the Chinese government.
I thought I was going to have a whole panel on today, but everybody is over an hour late. So, brother darn it all. Thank you for following. We are reloading the live stream of the RNC. Uh-oh, we might get an ad. Father Chris. But now, I should have just left it. Should have just left it. Why did you make me do this, Father Chris? Why did you make me do this?
America's other enemies won't give up either. But Joe Biden would be as wrong and weak over the next 4 years as he has
I like
been
Senator
for the
Tom.
last.
Senator Tom Cotton is awesome. He's based. He's generally America first. Blew me off when I tried to get an endorsement from him, but you know.
Not one who takes a knee. A strong and proud America is a safe America, safe from our enemies and safe from war.
Safe from our enemies.
No one who's seen the face of war.
All right, I'm going back to full screen. Which gets me more spending time, you know? More of the circle of death. The circle of death.
Many of our fellow Americans are already honored at the hallowed grounds of Arlington. But if we want peace, we must be strong. Weakness is provocative. President Trump's strength has kept us out of war. Joe Biden won't stand up for America. Donald Trump will. So this November, let's stand with the president and vote to keep America great.
I missed I missed Senator Cotton because of Father Chris. I'm kind of a fan. He's a little low energy for me, but
my name is Marcia Mueller. This is my husband Carl.
yeah, Alex, I know who Stryker is.
By ISIS. From a young age, Kayla was amazing. She taught herself languages, how to write music, how to play guitar. She worked with troubled youth, military veterans, and Native Americans. Everywhere Kayla went, people smiled. Kayla had a gift to be able to see the world through someone else's eyes. She became a humanitarian aid worker.
I mean, I'm not opposed to having controversial people on the show. It's
Kayla
just
wrote, I find God in the suffering eyes reflected in mine. If this is how you are
not exactly, you know, something I'd rather do later than
she went to Turkey
like right in the beginning. It's, you know.
2012.
Oh,
In August,
the Michael Sisco show. We're 4 episodes in. Oh, Eric Stryker. Yeah, I'd rather wait a little more.
On August 4th, 2013, ISIS terrorists stopped her vehicle and took her captive.
Well, hey, I can send. We can get Father Chris on here. Hang tight, Father Chris. I can shoot you a link. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
The leader of ISIS, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, raped her repeatedly. For 18 months, she endured. And we endured an agonizing back and forth between us, the Obama administration, and ISIS. We put all our faith in the government, but the government let us down. President Obama refused to meet with us until ISIS had already beheaded other Americans. To this day, we've never heard from Joe Biden. Instead, the Obama administration had hid behind policy so much that we felt hopeless when they kept us from negotiating to save Kayla's life. The administration showed more concern for the terrorists in Guantanamo than the American hostages in Syria. The military prepared a rescue mission, but the White House delayed it. By the time it went forward, Kayla had been moved to another location. After 18 months of brutal torture, we learned from ISIS that Kayla had been killed. The Obama administration kept telling us they were doing everything they could, but their version of everything wasn't enough. What a difference a president makes. Under President Trump, U.S. Army Special Operators conducted a raid on al-Baghdadi's compound. After we learned that al-Baghdadi was killed, we learned something else. The operators named themselves Task Force 814 after August 14th, Kayla's birthday. And the mission was named Operation Kayla Mueller. To those soldiers, thank you. Kayla was looking down on you. The Trump team gave us empathy we never received from the Obama administration. The Obama administration said it was doing everything it could. The Trump administration is. Let me just say this, Kayla should be here. If Donald Trump had been president when Kayla was captured, she would be here today. When Kayla was a hostage, I'd go outside at night and look at the moon. I'd look at the moon and I'd promise her I'd do everything I could to get her home. Now when I see the moon, I'm reminded of my promise to her I couldn't keep.
All Kayla wanted was to make it home. We are still working to find her, and God willing, we will bring her home. Kayla was born a miracle. We were told we would never have a second child. God gave us Kayla, and she gave herself to the world. 8 months into Kayla's captivity, another hostage was able to smuggle out a letter Kayla had written. As we read it, we could see that God was holding her in his arms. In her words, she felt tenderly cradled in free fall. She also wrote, I have been shown in darkness light and have learned that even in prison one can be free. I am grateful. I have had many hours to think how only in
Sorry guys, trying to get
have I
Father
finally,
Chris
at
in here.
25 years old, come to realize your place in my life. None of us could have known it would be this long.
I remember this.
Though I am also fighting for my side in the ways I am able, and I have a lot of fight left inside of me. I am not breaking down, and I will not give in, no matter how long it takes. Kayla taught me so many things.
Air conditioner,
She's
nationalism.
still teaching us.
What is that?
Carl and I support Donald Trump because of his commitment to make and keep America great. Not with the power of the government, but with the passion of people like Kayla. Americans who, even in the darkest days, always have more fight left inside of them. Americans who don't just talk, they act. That was our daughter. That's President Trump. As long as we stay strong like Kayla, as long as we refuse to break, we will be great. Thank you.
Oh, jeez. Prison reform.
I'm free to hug my family. I'm free to start over. This is the greatest day of my life.
Oh, yeah.
With gratitude. I want to thank.
Looks like I'm in a Victorian library, right? But, actually.
Almost all people said that criminal justice reform would never pass. But we came together as a group. We worked.
Actually, I'm in the basement.
I'm an example of a woman who has been given a second chance in life. God bless you and God bless America.
I would normally have it muted, but I can't with the screen share. So.
Good evening. I'm Alice Marie Johnson. I was once told that the only way I would ever be reunited with my family would be as a corpse. But by the grace of God and the compassion of President Donald John Trump, I stand before you tonight, and I assure you, I'm not a ghost. I am alive, I am well, and most importantly, I am free. In 1996, I began serving time in prison, life plus 25 years. I had never been in trouble. I was a first-time nonviolent offender. What I did was wrong. I made decisions that I regret.
Hopefully we get all of our guests in our panel before the president starts to speak, so that we don't have to
We've all made mistakes.
close the tab
None of us want to be defined forever
and then go let everybody in and then try and get back. But if the panel is not in before President Trump starts, you're just not going to get in. They're just not. We're not letting anyone else in. Might end up just being me. I don't know. Michael Sisco has no friends. Michael Sisco has no friends.
Unjustly imprisoning my body is trying to imprison my mind. My transformation was described as extraordinary. Truth is,
let's go get Father Chris.
Who deserved the opportunity to come home.
Father Chris says he's ready.
Stop fighting for my freedom.
There he is. All right.
And the prayers of so many.
Adding him to the stream.
Hello.
Hello. I hear a lot of background.
Yeah, I do too. I don't quite know why.
Oh, I think I know why. That was because I had you. It's because of the way the screen share was set up for a second.
About the injustice of my.
Can you still hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have headphones by chance?
They're on.
Okay. I guess it's just like a lag with the. Now I have the green circle of death again. Or not the green circle, but the buffering circle. So how are you, Father Chris?
I'm doing well. I trust you can't hear me very well.
I can hear you. I still hear something in the background.
Is this better?
But
and your compassion will lead you to take action.
Is that better at all, or is that worse?
Do you have the stream up at all?
That's what
or is it just from my feed?
I have the stream up, yeah.
I will be forever grateful. God bless you. God bless President.
It's not that bad.
And God bless
be all right.
America. Thank you.
But your headphones are in.
Let me check on that and get back to you.
All right.
Mike Sisco on
our great country. America great again. Donald J. Trump
He will make America great again.
And won the presidency for the
Everything outside of our door is darkness. Okay. wish we had that 2016 energy back. That was so nice. My internet is going fantastic. Great. Great. It was actually we were out. It was on games day, celebrating outside, listening to the election results on the radio until about 3 a.m. What a glorious night that was. Glorious night. I felt like we were predicting the world would be Hillary in Syria, and all that. Just, I wish my stream would work. I wish the internet would work. Change from these I'm gonna rebuff this, guys. This is I think that's crazy. It's actually a good ad though. Like a good rehash over all the red. Yes. I know already, but it never hurts. Just refresh the stream. We will wait. Sorry about this. That's nothing. You know. Oh, looks like Podcast does not have headphones. So looks like it'll just be me again. Just me by myself. So our scheduled panel decides to show up. But right now we don't even have the RNC streaming. But that's okay. It's okay. Yeah, so what do you guys think so far? Do you think this is then what's been your favorite night? Not including, so they always end with a big speech. Like the first night, the headline speech is Melania, the First Lady, and then Vice President speech, and then the President. So I personally liked the first night was not good night. This when I total right, but anyways. First night was okay. Second night it was really cringe. But aside from the headline speakers at the end, the key speakers, just like all the stuff leading up to that. What do you guys think of this? This has been the best night so far. How does the night stack up so far? So we're almost back, I think. We are almost back. Man. Must be a rough hurricane. Alright guys, looks like these tabs are not working well. So stick with me. I'm gonna have to start this over again. Hopefully we're not missing anything. Weak signal. Weak signal. Let me try. Might be able to get a. Okay. I don't normally have signals this kind of issue. This is bad. All right, I'm gonna try and see what happens if I swap internet. That's real fast. Let me up. Up and running. Oh my gosh. All right, we're almost back. All right, guys, we're back up and streaming. Gotta skip the ads. All right. We're back. Ooh, Ivanka.
Just like Alice. From that point on, he became a voice for those who had been
All right,
unfairly
sorry,
silenced in
guys.
our prison system. President Trump rectified the disparities
Looks
of the
like we're back.
1994 Biden crime bill that disproportionately
Back
hurt
so you can see
African
Ivanka
Americans.
Trump.
Against all odds, Republicans and Democrats, the most
I'm shocked. I had 3 people say that they would come on the stream with me, and none of them have showed up. Nobody has showed.
My father did not campaign on this issue. He tackled this injustice because he has a deep compassion for those who have fairly. More than rhetoric and political prose, the ability to build consensus and achieve bipartisan success will help heal our country's racial inequities and bring us forward together. President Trump is advancing the American values of work and family. 4 years ago, President Trump will deliver for working women. Last year, over 70% all jobs were secured by women. Years ago, I told father would focus on making childcare affordable.
And that's great for society.
In President Trump's first term, we set the largest ever increase in childcare funding.
For them to not be the ones working.
Great childcare at a cost they can afford.
Women should totally
tax cuts in 2019
because then they will play.
The child tax credit, not a single Democrat voted to pass the law. We got it done anyway. Four years ago, I promised that President Trump would support mothers in the workforce. In his first year in office, he signed into law the first ever national paid leave tax credit. Today, 8 million more Americans have access to this benefit. 4 years ago, I said that Americans needed an economy that permits people to rise again. During President Trump's first 3 years in office, 72% of all new jobs went to Americans who had been outside of the workforce. 4 years ago, I told you I would fight alongside my father, and 4 years later, here I am. Many of the issues my father has championed are not historically Republican priorities. Yet where Washington chooses sides, our president chooses common sense. Where politicians choose party, our president chooses people.
Nice little populism there.
Of office, I've watched my father take on the failed policies of the past and do what no leader has done before. Recently,
All right, we need my viewers to come back. I know I disappeared for a little bit.
Of nearly every major pharmaceutical company. Now, when we see a
Bad internet is annoying.
My dad smiles and says to me, "You know, we're doing something really right if they're hitting us so hard." This spring, our president saw that American crops were going to waste because food supply chains were disrupted by the virus. He directed Secretary Perdue and me to find a way to get this nutritious food, fresh fruit, vegetables, meat, and dairy, to families most in need. Within a matter of days, we launched the Farmers to Family Food Box program, which has now delivered over 100 million meals into the hands of American families. I've worked alongside the president as he signed legislation to combat the evil of human trafficking.
That's good.
I've stood by my father's side.
One thing that people don't really talk about enough, I think.
And each time it has steeled his resolve to finally stop the endless force.
Especially with Epstein. That got a little bit of attention with Epstein, but
to change the paradigm in
memory
the Middle East,
hold.
he took a fresh approach. I heard Jerusalem, yet he delivered an unfulfilled past presidents because my father knew that it was the right thing to do.
Yes, mega.
Expectations. 2 weeks ago, he rewrote history.
Megan. To fight for Israel. We're gonna fight for us. on their behalf. It's gonna be huge, huge.
For the first time in a long time, we have a president who's Washington. I hate him for it. Dad, people attack you for being unconventional, but I love you for being real, and I respect you for being effective. Our president refuses to surrender his beliefs to score point with the political elite. To my father, you are the elite. You are the only people he cares about scoring points with. If these problems were easy to solve, previous presidents would have done so. But you don't achieve different results by doing things the same way. Washington has not changed Donald Trump. Donald Trump has changed Washington.
Out of a speaker.
America doesn't need another empty vessel who will do
Not
whatever the media and the
monotone.
fringe of his party demands. Now more than ever, America needs 4 more years of warrior in the Tonight, I could not be more proud to introduce my father, a man I know was made for this moment in history. My fellow Americans, our First Lady and the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Here we go. Here we go. I won't talk too much, so yes. All right, he needs to knock this out the park. All right, guess the panel's not coming. Guess they're not coming. Well, that's okay. All we need is Emperor Trump. That's all we need. Uh-oh. How long this? 30 minutes? An hour? Alright, I might still let my panel in if they show. Don't want to mess the stream up. What a gentleman. What a gentleman.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Nice. 4 more years.
delegates and distinguished guests, please. I stand before you tonight honored by your support, proud of the extraordinary progress made together over the past 4 years. With confidence in the bright future we will build for America over the next 4 years. We begin this evening. Our thoughts are with the wonderful people.
For those of you still watching, thanks for sticking through my internet issues.
We are working closely with state and local officials in Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, sparing no effort to save lives. While the hurricane was fierce, one of the strongest to make landfall in 150 years, the casualties and damage were far less than thought possible only 24 hours ago. Due to the great work of FEMA, law enforcement, and the individual states this weekend, and congratulations, thank you for the great job there. We really appreciate it. We are one national family, and we will always protect each other. And build a life with so much joy. Federal service for the nation and its children.
Oh, gotta love internet. Gotta love poor internet. I gotta get that fixed. I gotta get this resolved somehow.
I also want to thank my amazing daughter Ivanka for that introduction, and to all of my children. Ivanka, please stand up. Thank you. And to all of my children and grandchildren, I love you more than words can express. I know Brother Robert is looking down on us right now from heaven. He was a great brother, was very proud of the job we are all doing. Thank you. We love you, Robert. Let us also take a moment to show our profound appreciation for a man who has always fought by our side and stood up for our values, a man of deep faith and steadfast conviction, our Vice President Mike Pence. And Mike is joined by his beloved wife, a teacher, and military mom, Karen Pence. Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, we saw them yesterday. We saw them yesterday.
My fellow Americans, tonight, with a heart full of gratitude and boundless optimism, I profoundly accept this nomination for President of the United States.
Shocking.
The Republican Party, the party of Abraham Lincoln, goes forward united, determined, and ready to welcome millions of Democrats, independents, and anyone who believes in the greatness of America and the righteous heart of the American people. In a new term as president, we will again build the greatest economy in history, quickly returning to full employment, soaring incomes, and record prosperity. We will defend America against all threats and protect America against all dangers. We will lead America into new frontiers of ambition and discovery, and we will reach for new heights of national achievement. We will rekindle new faith in our values, new pride in our history, and a new spirit of unity that can only be realized through love for our great country. Because we understand that America is not a land cloaked in darkness. America is the torch that enlightens the entire world. Gathered here at our beautiful and majestic White House, known all over the world as the People's House, we cannot help but marvel at the miracle that is our great American story. This has been the home of larger-than-life figures like Teddy Roosevelt and Andrew Jackson, who rallied Americans to bold visions of a bigger and brighter future. Within these walls lived tenacious generals like President Grant and Eisenhower, who led our soldiers in the cause of freedom. From these grounds, Thomas Jefferson, St. Louis and Clark,
As you can hear the sirens in the background. There's protests going on, which I'm sure are extremely peaceful.
President Abraham Lincoln.
Civil War, we're in a civil war.
These very windows upon a half-completed Washington monument and asked God in his providence to save our nation. 2 weeks after Pearl Harbor, Franklin Delano Roosevelt welcomed Winston Churchill, and just inside, they set our people on a course to victory in the Second World War. In recent months, our nation and the entire planet has been struck by a new and powerful, invisible enemy. Like those brave Americans before us, we are meeting this challenge. We are delivering life-saving therapies and will produce a vaccine before the end of the year, or maybe even sooner. We will defeat the virus, end the pandemic, and emerge stronger than ever before. What united generations past was an unshakable confidence in America's destiny and an unbreakable faith in the American people. They knew that our country is blessed by God and has a special purpose in this world. It is that conviction that inspired the formation of our union, our westward expansion, the abolition of slavery, the passage of civil rights, the space program, and the overthrow of fascism, tyranny, and communism. This towering American spirit has prevailed over every challenge and lifted us to the summit of human endeavor. And yet, despite all of our greatness as a nation, everything we have achieved is now in danger. This is the most important election in the history of our country.
Tell them why. Tell us why. Richard Spencer says he's voting for Joe Biden. Tell us why he's a moron, Trump. Come on.
Thank you. At no time before have voters faced a clearer choice between two parties, two visions, two philosophies, or two agendas. This election will decide whether we save the American dream or whether we allow a socialist agenda to demolish our cherished destiny.
That's such... But they're more than that. They're anarchists. They're communists.
Or
Just
whether
say
we
it.
crush our industries and send millions of these jobs overseas, as has foolishly been done for many decades. Your vote will decide whether we protect law-abiding Americans or whether we give free rein to violent anarchists and agitators and
There you
criminals
go.
who threaten our citizens. And this election will decide whether we will defend the American way of life or whether we will allow a radical movement to completely dismantle and destroy it. That won't happen. At the Democrat National Convention, Joe Biden and his party repeatedly assailed America as a land of racial, economic, and social injustice. So tonight I ask you a simple question. How can the Democrat Party ask to lead our country when it spends so much time tearing down our country?
Yes.
In the left's backward view, they do not see America as the most free, just, and exceptional nation on earth. Instead, they see a wicked nation that must be punished for its sins. Opponents say that redemption for you can only come from giving power to them. This is a tired anthem spoken by every repressive movement throughout history. But in this country, we don't look to career politicians for salvation. In America, we don't turn to government to restore our souls. We put our faith in Almighty God.
Based?
Joe Biden is not a savior of America's soul. He is the destroyer of America's jobs. And if given the chance, he will be the destroyer of American greatness. For 47 years, Joe Biden took the donations of blue-collar workers, gave them hugs and even kisses.
It's good to bring this back up. I feel like people were forgetting about that.
And then he flew back to Washington and voted to ship our jobs to China and many other distant lands. Joe Biden spent his entire career outsourcing their dreams and the dreams of American workers, offshoring their jobs, opening their borders, and sending their sons and daughters to fight in endless foreign wars, wars that never ended. 4 years ago, I ran for president because I could not watch this betrayal of our country any longer. I could not sit by as career politicians let other countries take advantage of us on trade, borders, foreign policy, and national defense. Our NATO partners, as an example, were very far behind in their defense payments. But at my strong urging, they agreed to pay $130 billion more a year, the first time in over 20 years that they upped their payments. And this $130 billion will ultimately go to $400 billion a year. And Secretary General Stoltenberg, who heads NATO, was amazed after watching for so many years and said that President Trump did what no one else was able to do. Thank you. From the moment I left my former life behind, and it was a good life, I have done nothing but fight for you. I did what our political establishment never expected and could never forgive, breaking the cardinal rule of Washington politics. I kept my promise. Together, we have ended the rule of the failed political class, and they are desperate to get their power back by any means necessary. You've seen that. They are angry at me because instead of putting them first, I very simply said, America first. Thank you. Days after taking office, we shocked the Washington establishment and withdrew from the last administration's job-killing Trans-Pacific Partnership. I then immediately approved the Keystone XL and Dakota Access pipelines, ended the unfair and very costly Paris Climate Accord, and secured for the first time American energy independence.
All will be destroyed by the Green New Deal.
We passed record-setting tax and regulation cuts at a rate nobody had ever seen before. Within 3 short years, we built the strongest economy in the history of the world. Washington insiders asked me not to stand up to China. They pleaded with me to let China continue stealing our jobs, ripping us off, and robbing our country blind. But I kept my word to the American people. We took the toughest, boldest, strongest, and hardest hitting action against China in American history by far. They said that it would be impossible to terminate and replace NAFTA. But again, they were wrong. Earlier this year, I ended the NAFTA nightmare and signed the brand new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement into law. And right now, auto companies and others are building their plants and factories in America, not firing their employees, and not deserting us for other countries. In perhaps no area did the Washington special interests try harder to stop us than on my policy of pro-American immigration. But I refuse to back down, and today America's borders are more secure than ever before.
Finish the wall. Want that wall. Yes, ICE. We will never abolish you.
We ended catch and release, stopped asylum fraud, took down human traffickers who prey on women and children, and we have deported 20,000 gang members and 500,000 criminal aliens. We have already built 300 miles of border wall, and we are adding 10 new miles every single week. The wall will soon be complete, and it is working beyond our wildest expectations. We are joined this evening by members of the Border Patrol Union representing our country's courageous border agents. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you. Brave, brave people.
Yeah. There's one with the mask on.
You see, this country loves our law.
They were social distancing.
They really do. Love and respect. When I learned that the Tennessee Valley Authority laid off hundreds of American workers and forced them to train their lower-paid foreign replacement, I promptly removed the chairman of the board, and now those talented American workers have been rehired and are back providing power to Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, North Carolina, and Virginia. They have their old jobs back, and some are here with us this evening. Please stand. You went through a lot. Please stand. Thank you. Thank you very much. You've been through a lot. Thank you very much. Last month, I took on Big Pharma. You think that's easy? It's not. And signed orders that will massively lower the cost of your prescription drugs and give critically ill patients access to life-saving cures. We passed the decades-long-awaited right to try. We also passed VA accountability and VA choice. Our great veterans, we're taking care of our veterans. 91% approval rating this month, the VA, given by our veterans. First time anything like that's ever happened. By the end of my first term, we will have approved more than 300 federal judges, including 2 great new Supreme Court justices. And to bring prosperity to our forgotten inner cities, we worked hard to pass historic criminal
Hey
justice
guys, I'm
reform,
gonna go ahead and
prison reform, opportunity zones, and long-term funding of historically black colleges and universities. And before the China virus came in, produced the best unemployment numbers for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Asian Americans ever recorded. And I say very modestly that I have done more for the African American community than any president since Abraham Lincoln, our first Republican president. And I have done more in 3 years for the Black community than Joe Biden has done in 47 years. And when I'm reelected, the best is yet to come.
Hey guys, I am going to end the stream.
The Middle East is in total chaos. ISIS,
And I'm enjoy the speech alone. So have a good night.
Unlike many presidents before him, I kept my promise, recognized Israel's true capital, and moved our embassy to Jerusalem. But not only do you just rather than in a new plan can already own it better. An open